Coming up on Nittany Game Week.
He loves offense. So, as an offensive-minded coach, he wants us to score.
Penn State comes at opponents with a balanced attack, the advantage that gives them on the court, and how they're staying fresh for the meat of their Big Ten schedule.
This is the best thing I have ever seen a hockey team do, and that's the truth.
The puck is about to drop on the third Sled Hockey Classic. Why this event has quickly become one of the most fun and rewarding on PSU's schedule. And former All-American offensive lineman AQ Shipley is our impact interview, the way he responds to Penn State's dramatic playoff journey. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Hello everyone and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside Ryan Yee for what is a first for us as we transition from Penn State football to the Nittany Lions winter sports. We are expanding our Nittany Game Week season from the traditional 20 weeks and doubling the run to 40. The show continues all the way until mid-May.
Yeah, that's right. How exciting. Coach Franklin and the football team finish up a fantastic 13-win season that culminates in a semifinal setback in the Orange Bowl. It's time for us, though, to focus on some of the other outstanding teams and athletes at PSU.
For example, the men's basketball team under the direction of second-year head coach and Schuylkill County native Mike Rhodes. We check in with the guys on the hardwood to start our opening drive. There is no avoiding it. The Nittany Lions now face the meat of their Big Ten schedule with some challenging road trips ahead. They've been taking care of business at home in the Bryce Jordan Center, where they are 10-1 this season. That includes a solid conference win over Rutgers on Monday night. As he often does, Ace Baldwin Jr. leads the offense with 22 points, 8 assists, and he adds 5 steals. In the Big Ten, you have to fight for every inch of real estate on the court. The Nittany Lions know they will be in plenty of tight games coming down the stretch.
The fun of being in a close game is figuring out to help your team win and taking pride in that. We all love playing the game, and then when they're close, they're fun games to be a part of. They're heartbreaking when you don't win them, but that's the part of competition athletics, I think, that is really cool. And I always say your character, what type of character you have when the games are close. You stick together, you find ways to win. We've had a lot of close games this year. We've won some of them, and there's some ones we're disappointed in that we didn't pull them out. You just gotta, you gotta learn from it. You gotta keep getting better, and knowing that the rest of the games we play, if we play the right way, we play at a high level, it still might come down to a one possession game.
Penn State still has road trips to Michigan, then out west to face UCLA and USC, at Minnesota, Indiana, and Wisconsin before the end of the regular season.
Now, Penn State's home win was number 300 inside the BJC before the calendar flipped to 2025. Coach Rhodes was able to secure his 400th career victory as a head coach. This year's team is getting the job done with a balanced scoring attack. 6 different guys are averaging in double figures, barely separated by 5 points. Coach said one of their seniors, Puff Johnson, is out with a long-term injury, so they'll need to replace his leadership and quality minutes on the floor. He also said the advantage to having balanced scoring is they don't rely on one guy to get 20 every night. The players have built the necessary chemistry to excel together and are making sure they're physically ready the rest of the way.
We got practice, we got games, we got travel. So that means we don't got a lot of free time, but at the same time, that's we know it's gonna happen during the season. That's how our mindset is during the season. And the most important thing is just to be ready for games, and that's the sacrifice we take during the season. After the season, of course, you got more free time, more time for yourself, but that's the, as I said, sacrifice we take during the season. It's just part of it.
Coach does a good job with, managing practice and understanding where our body's at as a team. We got Coach G, helps us with our body and our strength training, and then we added the nutritionist, who's helping us out now. Just fueling us up and things of that nature. But like Yannick said, just being in the training room in terms of wear and tear, we've been managing it. But it's part of the season. It is what it is.
And the home grind is here. The team's final 11 games will fall between this Monday, January 27th, and March 8th.
Well, the national semifinals in football, not the only high-profile event for Penn State and Notre Dame. The two schools meet up on the ice at Wrigley Field as part of the Frozen Confines series, which featured 6 Big Ten programs over 2 days. Awesome experience for the Blue and White as they convert the home of the Chicago Cubs to host college hockey. Here is the iconic look from the outside at Wrigley. So much history at the ballpark over its more than 110 years. Fantastic setting right after the new year to feature almost all the programs in the conference. The Nittany Lions end up falling in a shootout to the Irish that night. Of course, the result matters, but for the team, it's another chance to showcase their skills in an unforgettable environment.
Very cool. A great turnout by Penn Staters to come watch, and the field was awesome. We played very, very well. We ended up losing in a shootout, which would have been nice if it went the other way, but 2 nights later we were able to turn the tables and beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. But the Wrigley game itself was a really cool experience. It's something to be able to play at Penn State and in the Big Ten. You get to participate in things like this.
Yeah, the Nittany Lions will host Notre Dame in mid-February for 2 games at Pagula Arena. We're going to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, more hockey, albeit a slight variation. Why the Nittany Lions will be on the ice to support a local sled hockey organization coming up when Nittany Game Week returns.
Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by the R&R family of companies.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. During the football season, our Roadmap to Victory segment features a pair of former assistant coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley, breaking down game film, giving you some X's and O's to think about before Penn State's next matchup.
Yeah, we'll continue to show you how the Blue and White's execution on the field or the court leads to victory, but we're also going to focus on some of the other parts of the athletic program and the individual teams that will help them win when they are not competing.
The men's hockey team, a perfect example. This weekend on Sunday morning for the 3rd consecutive year, they are hosting the Penn State Sled Hockey Classic.
This is the best thing I have ever seen a hockey team do, and that's the truth. I'm not just talking biasly because we happen to be blessed to be able to do it, but it is the best event I have seen a hockey team do.
The event is the Penn State Sled Hockey Classic. Organized by now senior Dylan Lugris several years ago, the games at Pagula Arena benefit the State College Coyotes, a competitive sled hockey team for players in the local community with disabilities.
It's a team who has grown a ton over the last year and a half. Dylan has put a lot of time and effort into this team and supporting them, whether it's on the ice, off the ice, fundraising, whatever it is. And this team has grown so much in the last couple of years, even since I've been here. Now they're going to play in tournaments, which they weren't doing before, and they're traveling and doing stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's great to see.
Of course, Sunday morning's fundraiser benefits the Coyotes. The coach understands the perspective his players receive in return.
During the game itself, every single player is involved in some fashion. Some play, some coach, some ref, some run the music, some are ushers, some run the scoreboard. Every single guy does something, and they've all bought in. And the Coyote team has been a blessing to our team.
When it comes to hockey, not a whole lot translates from the traditional game to sled hockey. The consensus is that it's harder, much harder.
So tough. Those guys they're unbelievable. They're so strong. It's all arms, all balance control. We were more sore from an hour of sled hockey than we were the week's worth of workouts.
The easy part is seeing how much fun hosting the event is for everyone involved, including the fans. They're going to show up in the roar zone and cheer for the Coyotes.
They're in our corner every game of the year besides that one Sunday morning, and they want nothing more than for that team to win and them to beat us. So it's pretty funny. It's cool. It's awesome.
Reese will continue the tradition Dylan started and organize the event. For Coach, the Sled Classic is now woven into the fabric of Penn State's hockey program.
Dylan this is going to be his last year playing, and he'll forever have a great footprint on this program, but it's really nice that it's going to continue. I look forward to 20 years from now coming back to watch it.
Yeah, fantastic work by Dylan and the entire team. Love to hear that the tradition will continue after he graduates. The Sled Hockey Classic is Sunday morning. The doors open at 11. Plenty of time for college students to get themselves up and over to the arena.
Most college students, maybe not for me when I was in college. 2 games this year, a pair of Coyotes teams go head-to-head, and then the winner faces Penn State. Admission is free if you're going plan on taking part in the post-game skate with the team. A minimum $5 donation is required. That's a minimum. Please be generous and give more if you can. Next week, we feature the newly crowned national champions, the women's volleyball team. Coach Schumacher Cawley and a few of the players will tell us about their journey to the national title.
Yeah, championship number 8 for the program. More on their roadmap to victory on the next Nittany Game Week. Still to come, our Impact interview with former All-American AQ Shipley tells us why he was able to stay in the NFL so long and how it helped him land a weekly gig on the Pat MacAfee Show. More Nittany Game Week after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
We are back on Nittany Game Week. It's time for our Impact interview. Prior to the College Football National Championship game, Jay Paterno and I had a chance to catch up with former Nittany Lions All-American offensive lineman AQ Shipley. He was part of 2 Big Ten championship teams in 2005 and 2008, was actually the Remington Award winner as the nation's best center in his senior year. AQ now has a recurring role each week on the Pat MacAfee Show, and we start with his reaction watching this year's Nittany Lions on their playoff adventure.
This year was fun to watch. I mean, I knew they had a good team, and it's just they have so much talent. I mean, the defense was incredible with Abdul Carter and the other guys. And, you know, offensively, I love the backs. I thought their O-line was as good as they've had in quite some time. And the tight end's awesome. Tight end is going to be a Sunday player, I think, for a long time. So for me, a lot of fun to watch. I just, you know, they had so much talent. I was boots on the ground for the game here in Boise, which was crazy because, you know, it was 70% Boise fans, which kind of blew me away, which I guess that's the new thing with you can't go to every college football playoff game. If you do, you're going to spend $20,000, you know, going to watch your team. So that was interesting. But then again, you know, you have them 10-0 at halftime against Notre Dame in the next game. And that's when you got to put your foot on the gas and step on their throat and close it out. And they just couldn't get it done.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun with some brackets, the 05, the 08 teams, how they would do. But look, the Fiesta Bowl is always, you guys always win there. So we wanted to place you there as like the 3 seed. West Virginia at Notre Dame would play, and then you guys would make it in. But that year had USC and Texas, undefeated teams. What do you think the 05 team would have done in a 12-team playoff format?
I love that 05 team. I think there was something really special about that 05 team. I think there was a bunch of guys with chips on their shoulders. And that's I think the biggest thing that I take away from that team. When I think of guys like Michael Robinson and Alan Zamitis and, you know, a Paul Posluszny and an Ed Johnson, a Jay Alfred. I think all of these guys had, you know, I'll say this word, had just like that dog in them, that it factor, and that, you know, win at all costs type of attitude. And we are going to figure out a way to win. Defensively, I loved that group. Offensively, I loved what Michael Robinson brought to that team, the leadership he had, his dog mentality, we are going to win this game mentality. And then you had the influx of all the freshman kids, right? You had Justin King and Derek Williams, Jordan Norwood, you know, and you had all these guys, and you had the perfect mix of young and old. But that team was special because there was, you know, there's, I don't know how to describe it, but the attitude of that team was so different, in my opinion.
If you go to the zone read and you take Mike, now you got to tackle Tony Hunt, which is a whole nother thing. So let's look at 08, that bracket. Penn State would have been the 4 seed, and we put them in the Peach Bowl, playing the winner of Georgia Tech, and then would have played Florida in the semis, and then and beaten them, obviously, because I'm biased, and then Oklahoma. I like Penn State's chances in that run, don't you?
I love that team. That 08 team was awesome, too. You know, I mean, obviously I'm biased. That was my senior year, but that team was special, too. I mean, you look at, you know, the guys that we had up front. I mean, I think that was one of the better O-lines I think Penn State had, you know, especially on the interior 3. Ornberg and Wisniewski, loved playing next to those guys, had dog mentalities. You know, defensively, you got Sean Lee and Navarro Bowman. I mean, these are all pro type players, right? And then, you know, really good defensive line. Josh Gaines, really good friend of mine, former roommate of mine. He was kind of glue guy, really good captain, but a solid football player. Interior guys, you got Odrick, Devin Still, and you got, you know, a bunch of other big cats that could stop the run. Secondary was solid. Offensively, you had all the same weapons we mentioned as freshmen are now seniors, right? Deion Butler, Jordan Norwood, Derek Williams, studs. Daryl Clark, phenomenal. They were very similar teams, really, if you think about it, Jay, right? The 05-08 team, very similar teams, similar offenses, similar players in certain positions. Stud tight end Corliss had a monster career in the NFL as well, won a Super Bowl. Loved that team. The back, Evan Royster, right? Like, I mean, we had guys everywhere. And, you know, that team could have competed with anybody, I think. You know, we ran into a buzzsaw with a USC team that saw guys everywhere, too. I mean, there was first-round talent across that team as well. But, you know, I think we could have beat anybody on any given day that year as well.
Big personality on you leads to some high-profile gigs. You're now a media presence on the Pat MacAfee Show. How did that come about, and how much fun you must be having with Pat and the gang?
It's the best. I mean, the fact that I can do this for a job is one of the best things I've been a part of. And you know, it's literally you're in a man cave talking ball, and you know, just being with the boys, talking. Honestly, I say talking ball. Half the time, the conversation leads away from ball and goes anywhere. It can go anywhere, and that's the best part about it. But the way the whole thing came about is pretty interesting. Is, you know, I think the reason that I played 12 years, it wasn't because I was the tallest. I'm hardly 6'1". I got 29-inch arms, which every scout in the world wanted to get rid of me because of that. But I played 12 years because I was tough, physical, and smart being the most, right? And I think, you know, any offensive line room, any offensive line coach, any offensive lineman I ever played with will say I was the smartest guy in the room. And I think that's what helped lead me to my career. Pivoting after football, Dan Orlovsky, good buddy of ours on the show all the time. Dan Orlovsky's breaking down something on ESPN, and he's blaming the sack on the offensive line. And I'm watching this and I'm like, that's not the offensive line's fault. I know that's not the offensive line fault. I know they're sliding to the will. The back has the Mike to the Sam. The Mike and the Sam blitz. The back goes out, misses the Mike. Mike gets the sack. I'm like, that's not the offensive line fault. Call Pat. I go, hey, Pat, you watching Orlovsky right now? He's like, no, I'm not watching Orlovsky. I was like, okay, I got it on pause. Let's watch it together. He's blaming the offensive line. Look at this. It's a Mike. It's a will protection. So the offensive line sliding to the will. They got the will. They bring the Mike and the Sam. That's on the back. The back free releases. Mike hits the quarterback in the back of the head. That's a sack. Orlovsky doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like, would you want to do this when you're done playing? I said, yeah, I'd love to do this. He's like, boom. As soon as you're done playing, come on my show. You talk about the big boys. We got an O-line segment. There we go.
Last one, and we ask pretty much all our old players this question. So, and this is a two-parter. If NIL was allowed during your playing days, what would you have wanted to have a deal with? Who would you have wanted to come to you and say, we want to put you out, endorse us? And what would your running mate, Rich Ornberger, have wanted to do a deal with? So really two questions for you there.
That's a great question. Yeah, for me, it's funny. Like everybody that knows me now, even I'm almost 40 years old at this point, and still I go drop my kids off at school every day, and I still wear Crocs every single step of the way. I would want to deal with Crocs 100%. Like it is my favorite shoe. I know it's not the trendiest. I know they're the ugliest shoes on planet Earth. I know I get made fun of all the time, even to this day, from old, young, everywhere in between. I would want to deal with Crocs, 100%. I think for Ornberger, you'll get this, quite a little bit of an inside joke, but I think he should definitely, and this is also a play on a sponsorship that McAfee has on his show, but I think Ornberger should have a deal with Dude Wipes, hands down, a deal with Dude Wipes.
I cannot wait till he sees this one.
Always a fun conversation when we get a chance to catch up with AQ. Offers a unique perspective on the game. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview, along with other web-exclusive content like our depth chart. The Beaver Stadium's renovation is underway. The west side of the stadium has a very different look these days. We'll give you a quick glance when we come back. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
The Nittany Game Week Depth Chart is brought to you by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Soon after the Nittany Lions college football playoff victory over SMU in late December, the press box was knocked over on the west side of Beaver Stadium. The renovations will continue for a few years, and here's what the west side looks like this week. Temporary bleachers will be utilized for the 2025 season. The plan was approved in May of 2024. Total investment to revitalize the stadium is $700 million. Once completed, it will enable year-round use of Beaver Stadium.
All right, and we're dishing out our first Nittany Game Week Dean's List honors to some of the standout Penn State athletes this week, and we got a bunch of them. We start with some honorees on the women's hockey team. Goalie Katie Disa was named the Atlantic Hockey America Tendy of the Week. She has 6 shutouts this season. Her teammate, Grace Outwater, the AHA Rookie of the Week, as she sits second in the nation in points among freshmen. On to the men's sides, it was announced forward Aiden Fink was nominated to the initial list for the Hobie Baker Memorial Award given to the top player in college hockey. He currently leads the team in points, assists, and goals. And lastly, Haley Kitching was named the Big Ten Women's Track Athlete of the Week after the Nittany Lion Challenge last Saturday posted the 3rd fastest 200-meter track time in NCAA history. Congrats to our first Nittany Game Week Dean's List honorees.
Yeah, can't wait to see a lot of the winter and spring athletes in action. A lot of talent competing for PSU in addition to a television show. We're bringing Nittany Lions together with our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com. We're connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers. Our goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. And once you visit the site, you'll see the vast majority of the content related to college football. That's going to begin to change as we get deeper into our expanded season and populate the site with other sports. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for our web-exclusive content, past shows and interviews, and to submit your pride picks that we can use at the end of the show. I believe I just mentioned something about pride picks.
You did, Todd, and it's easy to submit on the website. Would love to see some pictures from the Roar Zone at the Sled Hockey Classic this weekend. Should be good.
That's going to be a great example. Plenty of ways to show your support, so make sure to share them with us. For Jay and Ryan, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.